Thank you for joining us here at the Nikki Clarke Show live, Go Live TV. So happy to be back with another very special guest. She is the Chief Learning Officer of Andreas Consulting. Please welcome Claudette Hutchinson to the show.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and your time. I'm so happy it's finally happening.
Yay! In the middle of COVID, we finally get to
There's
get
been a lot
together.
of changes, but man, it happened this way at an appointed time, and I'm grateful to God. So thank you. So tell us a little bit about your background leading up to being the CEO behind.
So I started out my career in IT. And when I started working in IT, the wonderful thing was I have a gift for gab. I love to talk. And I wanted to be a teacher originally, and that didn't work out because there's so many teachers flooding the school system at that time. So somebody who knew me said, well, you're really good with computers. Why don't you do that? I was in the computer tech designing software programs for about a week, and then someone came to me and said, you're so much better at explaining what to do with this technology, so can we switch you to being the training and development for this technology? And I found that I absolutely loved explaining things. And then as time went on, I have to ask a lot of questions, because when you're going to build training, you got to figure out what's wrong. That's what people pay you to do. And so I'm the person who's allowed to go into an organization and ask about the elephant in the room and the problems that are happening and dig up dirt. And through all of that, I ended up having a lot of conversations, thousands of conversations over 23 years. And so after a period of time, I started using that skill to become a courageous conversationalist, because my job is to
courageous
have
conversationalist
and talk to people and get them to open up and tell me what's actually going on in an organization. So hence, I'm also the courageous conversationalist.
I love that. That is so empowering. And it's especially in these times where, there have been boundaries and there are limitations to people interacting.
Yes.
I feel like the quality of conversations have been compromised.
They have been. A lot of people are isolated. They don't know how to talk. And one of the things that's happening from an HR perspective, because I also deal with talent development, is this thing called the Great Resignation. People are frustrated.
Great Resignation?
So people are quitting their jobs and they're leaving because they want to do what they love. So for example, you do what you love.
I do.
Right? And there's everybody who's been on the stage before came and talked about they do what they love.
Yes.
And some people are just like, I hate my job. And COVID has made them realize, I don't want to do this. But they're scared to have that conversation about what should I do. And so then they start talking to me, and we dig up all of these secrets, and we dig up all of the things that they love and they really want to do, and set them in a pathway of actually being able to do the thing that they want to do. The other aspect is courageous conversations usually is linked towards talking about diversity and inclusion and inequality, etc. But a lot of people don't understand that you can't have the conversation about diversity and inclusion until you have an honest conversation inside first.
Yes.
And so if you're not willing to start the conversation with yourself and have the courage to start looking at what's right and wrong for you, then how are you going to have a conversation in an organization where you're not telling yourself the truth? So I do both diversity and inclusion, and then helping people really have the courage to start. It's just start and make the change and make right decisions for themselves. So that's what I do.
I love that. And can you tell me who would come to see you? I know that you're helping them to kind of unlock their potential, but they have to get to a place of authenticity. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So in what field are they coming and approaching you to help them get to that next step?
I have every field under the sun, every age group, every thought process. What happens is people accidentally find me. I don't know what happens.
They do.
But they accidentally find me. So I might be working for a company and somebody comes in and says, well, how did you get the staff to open up the way that you did? How did you get to the secrets of our organization? And they're like, can you help me? And they don't understand that that's going to end up being a courageous conversation. I'll walk down the street and people will see me, and for some reason, I don't know, when I go to church, I believe in God, and I think people will stop me. I've had people on the subway pull my headphones out of my ear and say, I really need to talk to you.
Oh, that was me. No, sorry.
Okay.
No.
So it's been very fascinating that I get people, and I also talk to people internationally. So I have clients in Sweden, in China, the Caribbean islands, anyone who's just wanting to know more and wanting someone to talk to that they can trust. And for some reason, I guess I elude trustworthiness. And I ask questions that don't scare people, that it's okay. Like, they're terrified, but they're comfortable enough to stay and have the conversation. So everything. My last 2 years has been primarily focused on women, though. COVID has made women realize that they really are needing to step out and do what they really want to do.
Yes.
When you're at home and your boss doesn't understand that there's 2 screaming kids in the background and they're mad at you, are you really going to stay in your job? Why? If you are frustrated, like if you're every day you're going to work frustrated, you're 8 hours every day spending time in a place that you hate, why? So people are starting to ask questions about, like, well, why am I doing this? And some people do it for security because it's a paycheck. Is that paycheck worth your happiness? Is that paycheck worth your joy?
Yeah.
So people have these conversations, and sometimes somebody will be like, hey, I had this great conversation with Claudette. Go find her. She'll talk to you and she'll tell you. And I'm the sister, the home girl who'll be like, look, I won't tell you straight. That ain't working for you. Gotta cut it. Gotta go. Gotta leave. So that's how people find me. It's either word of mouth, sometimes website. They've seen me talk at other events.
Yes, yeah, and they are really courageous conversations because, you know, when you have to do the internal work, that means you have to really look at yourself in the mirror and go, ooh, look at all those flaws. How do people actually talk to me? You know what I mean? And then it's like forgiving yourself, letting go of some stuff, and then doing the pivot, reframing. And I was sharing with someone that sometimes it means that you have to cut off certain relationships because they are just no good for you, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's, if you want success, and success is defined differently for every human being. That's one of the things that we work with because we have a model that we've used called the courage model. But if you want success, you have to be honest. And it's scary to be honest. It's so super scary to stand there and go, I'm not happy, and this isn't working. I'm going to leave the security of my job or friends that I know, because I grew up in church. My friends have always been church people, and so it's a part of the crew. And then as you start growing and maturing, you get really scared because you're like, what's the future hold? But nobody knows it. And what I find really works with Courageous Conversations is telling people that, you know what, even if you don't have all the answers, that's still okay because you can grow into answers. You can grow into the knowledge that you need. You can grow into the career that you want to choose. You can grow into the relationships that you want to have and grow out of all the things that you want to let go of as well.
Through courage.
And through courage. And it's not, and everybody's heard this, courage is not the absence of fear. That's 100% true. You're still scared. It's just that you learn how to channel that fear into energy that you can use. And for those people who are spiritual, you have spiritual guidance that goes with it as well. So you balance both of those things to get where you want to go.
Yes, I love that. And what's coming up for you? I think you're traveling quite a bit, right? Now that things
doing all kinds
restrictions have kind of lifted a bit.
Yes. So in the month of November, I'll be speaking at 2 conferences talking about the courage model for leaders, especially because of the Great Resignation. You want to keep your top talent.
I just love that.
Right?
The Great Resignation.
It is happening. The other day I read a statistic, 20 million people have quit their job in America. It's coming to Canada in the last year. People are done. So if you want top talent in your organization, you've got to create that culture where people want to be there, and that's through courage and transparency and openness. So I'll be speaking at 2 conferences dealing with C-level individuals and talent development individuals. And then in December, I'm going to go to Africa and spend some time teaching this in Africa as well. I might be in January in Dubai. So November is speaking conferences and events, and I do some virtual training as well. I'm teaching the model in rest of October, November to other individuals so that they can take it into their organization or their personal life or their coaching in businesses as well. So life coaches, health coaches are learning it. And then, as I said, November, doing some public speaking events. They're on my website. They're also on LinkedIn because that's where I usually post all my stuff. And then, December, Africa. I'm going to Africa to teach. It's going to be kind of cool.
That is wonderful. What part of Africa?
I am going to go to Lagos because they say that's the place to be.
Ah.
And then
Or
and then I'm going to spend some time in, I'm going to mispronounce it, so please forgive me for those who are watching it, but it's the floating ghetto city. I think it's called Makoko or Mokoko.
Can anyone correct us?
Probably not.
No.
Nobody.
Someone's like, no, I don't know.
Don't know where it is. They're building floating schools, so I am on the board.
Floating schools.
Floating schools. So it's a city that floats on sewage, pretty much. But all of their homes float, and so they're building floating schools. And I'm going to be working because I'm on the board for this group, Youth and Diaspora, and said I wanted to go. I wanted to see what they were working on.
Do you need any volunteers?
If you want to come, you can definitely. Yes. We're planning it right now.
Who's coming?
And then also in Senegal. So that's the other place that I wanted to go because I want to invest in agriculture, solar energy as well. So I'm going to go take a look and be able to give back to the Canadian community. I want to give back to the African community as well.
Oh, I'm so pleased for you. That is amazing.
I am
really excited. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are so blessed. Amazing.
It is a blessing, yes.
And where can people meet you on social media, Claudette?
LinkedIn is probably where I'm most active. So Claudette Hutchinson, search for me, you'll find me. I'm also on Twitter. So my media person reminded me today, ACI Courageous is where you would find us on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, that's where you can probably definitely find me. Or at least LinkedIn. I know I'm always on LinkedIn. So that's where you can find me.
Okay. Claudette, thank you so much for being here. Let's hear it for Claudette Hutchinson, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. We'll be back.